I am going to make for you guys today we're gonna go to Italy. I'm gonna make just a regular tomato sauce. And so there's so many ways that you can make tomato sauce, but this is the way that I've always made it. And it's the best way to doctor it up yourself, add your own salt, add your own spices. You can definitely make this using fresh tomatoes and boil them and peel them, but that's a lot of steps. So I just use whole peeled tomatoes from the can. And then what I do is I put a little bit of olive oil in the pan and then I pour the whole thing in. Then I take the can, fill it up like with about a quarter of a cup of water just to cut, and like I swish it around to get some of that extra sauce. And I put it in there and then I let this come to a boil. And the sauce and that little bit of water that we put in helps the tomatoes soften so that we can crush them up a little bit, right? So I have my tomatoes here. I'm going to show you. Some of them I was able to kind of crush right away. Some of them still need to get a little bit softer, but that's kind of how it looks. By the end, you should really be able to have mostly crushed up tomatoes. You can definitely puree this if you want. I like a chunkier sauce, so I don't really care that I have, those pieces and those chunks. It kind of feels a little bit more authentic to me. So I like to keep that. So then what I like to do is I always like to use sauces and soups and stews and anything like this as a vehicle to add in some more vegetables and add in more nutrients. So to me, you can definitely use onions in here. I actually don't put onions in here. Sometimes I put garlic, but today I'm really just gonna put spinach. Put like a handful of spinach. Spinach typically shrinks, so you can't really go too much with spinach. We're gonna sit there, gonna let that wilt into the liquid. And you can kind of keep going then while, you don't have to wait for it to wilt. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. Then my secret, well, I actually will tell you my secret after. I add a tiny bit of salt just because I used a no sodium tomatoes with no sodium, but I don't like to add too much salt. I'd rather use some, other herbs and spices. So, garlic powder, things like that, some salt, some pepper. And then I'll use a little bit of dried oregano. You can use some fresh herbs if you want. I happen to like dried herbs in the sauce, which I don't typically like dried herbs in general for other foods, but in sauces I do. So this is smelling so good already. A lot of these tomatoes are starting to get a little bit softer, so I can continue to just break it up with my spoon. The spinach is wilting. I'm not gonna make you guys watch this the whole time because it's gonna take a little bit of time, but this is what it's looking like so far. So it's looking really nice. All of the smells are coming together really, really nicely. So there's that. My trick for tomato sauce is chia seeds. First of all, it's a great way to get additional fiber. It's a great way to get omega-3 fatty acids. And it's also a really great way to bulk up our sauce. So a lot of people like to use pasta water to make it a little bit thicker, which I do use a little bit as well. But chia seeds kind of does a lot of that same trick. So you just do like about a tablespoon. You can do 2 tablespoons if you want. I just measured kind of with my eye there with using my hands. I would say that's probably a tablespoon and a half of chia seeds. You don't need a lot, even for a big sauce like this, because a little bit of chia seeds takes you a long way. I believe 1 serving is 2 tablespoons. So you can use 2 tablespoons, you can use a little more. As it boils, you're going to see that the sauce is going to start to thicken a lot from those chia seeds. So especially if you're then going to add some pasta water to that sauce, it's really going to get nice and thick. And I'll show you here. I made it. I put it on top of the pasta. I specifically didn't mix it in with the pasta because I want you to see how thick it really is. It's a really, really thick sauce. It's chunky. It's really delicious. You can add whatever you want to it, but the chia seeds are definitely my secret. And I think it adds for a delicious and healthier sauce.